Hi there, Nancy here, and welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneur Rescue Mission and
Networking and marketing made simple.
with Scott Aaron. So, we're obviously doing a dual episode today, and this topic was one that I picked because honestly, it just keeps popping up, and I feel like it's super relevant, not only this time that we're in, this time of year, lots of stuff kind of that is going out there whenever it comes to tech and AI, and I just feel like so many heads are spinning. So, the
Wait, the
topic
holiday season is a time for AI?
well, I just feel like, I keep saying it. It's funny. I keep saying October, November, December. Like this fourth quarter is such a great time to really kind of pump the brakes and look at your business, really kind of prioritize the things that you want to focus on and maybe learn a little bit more about, right? So I do think it's a good time of the year. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's good to plan ahead for the year ahead, but as far as, the season for artificial intelligence, I don't know if like maybe it's International Artificial Intelligence Month and we just didn't know about it.
Yeah, no, I think it's just, new things. We're getting thrown at a lot of new things at us. So anyway, the topic of
Right?
today's
Did I throw you off there, Nance?
yeah, I'm like, why are you being combative right now? But actually it's good that we're having this conversation because the topic is, AI is here. And, I think a lot of people, I've actually heard both sides of it where there's a lot of people who are super excited, who've kind of jumped on learning all about AI and kind of knowing all the different things. And then there's a lot of people on the other side. And if you guys are listening and maybe you haven't really looked too much into it and you kind of feel like left behind and you feel a little fearful, right? A little scared of AI, you're not alone. Okay. I don't want to get on here and say, are you crazy? Learn about it. It can change your business. We're going to touch on that a little bit, but we just want to let you know that, it's normal to feel fear, when we have something that's unknown or we feel already. Right. I think the big changes. I mean, I know last November, right, there were huge shifts where ChatGPT and all these other, AI tools started coming out of the woodwork. It's totally normal to feel already behind, right? I mean, we are moving at a rapid rate of technology, of innovation, of automation, of
There's AI
everything.
for everything at this point. Like
Oh man.
there's
Yeah.
nothing out there that there isn't an AI tool for it.
Yeah.
And me personally, I'm excited about it. And I think we talked about this, oh my God, probably about a year and a half ago when we first started leveraging ChatGPT in the beginning. We definitely got on board with the beta like before it was really getting huge. The valuation of the company was really low. Now it's in the billions,
Yeah.
which is wild. But I remember us doing a training for one of the groups that we have, and people were like, I don't like it. I'm not going to use it.
I
It's the
remember.
devil. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the devil, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And I'm sorry, I there's a learning curve for everything, and I feel like a lot of people use their age and or lack of experience in certain arenas as a crutch of why they're not going to learn something. And you hear this adage all the time. I mean, the likes of Mark Cuban, and you hear like the big business minds. If you don't adapt to the rapidly changing things in business, not only are you going to get left behind, but you'll be out of business. And I could not agree with that more. The fact that, you know, the tech side of business is here to stay. The AI side of things is here to stay. I don't even know what's on the other side of AI. I don't know where that will definitely evolve into something, but to not be open and willing to at least try to use AI, it's as a business professional, it's a sign of negligence. And I really feel you're setting yourself up for a world of failure, but it also breaks down to something that you and I read in the book The War of Art, which is resistance. And I think whenever there's something new on the horizon or there's something that's really being talked about, there is a huge contingency of people that are like throwing streamers and just like so doing a happy dance down the street that like something in business is finally evolving and changing. And then there's the other contingency of people that don't want things to change. They want things to be the same old way they've been. I look back at my journey in business, and when we first started our first gym in 1998, we didn't have a website.
Wow.
We didn't. There was no website. We eventually got one very early on, but there were no like when people had to sign up at the gym, there was no digital way to do that for it wasn't until the early 2000s that people could quote unquote sign up online. We literally had, the white, pink, and yellow papers that people would have to fill out their information. Nancy, we used to have that slide machine to run the credit cards like they did at like old department stores. And now, like, just look at how all of those things have evolved. So if you don't get with the times, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. Again, I hear the comments from different people, and it's starting to get less and less, but it's still there. Even family and friends, right? Have trepidations, and I hear the comments that people are making, and they're saying, "Oh, well, it's going to replace our jobs," or "Oh, it's gonna," all these things. Well, here's what I want to kind of put out to you
Well,
guys, right?
there's
Think
there's
about,
some truth to that.
well, in some ways, yes, but we have to evolve, right? This is part of the game. And this technology, I know, I can't even remember who said it. I can't remember the quote, but AI technology is probably the most innovative, creative, like wild invention that we've had since fire. I mean, at the rapid rate in which we can move and we can process things and we can analyze and research and get so much more done in a short period of time, it has never been done. I mean, it is mind-blowing. I mean, we talk about how that affects healthcare. We talk about how that affects, actually doing research, that can help teach us and identify patterns and realize things so much sooner. We talk about, being able to build businesses so much quicker at a rapid rate, making content, giving frameworks, breaking things down. I mean, literally, it allows us to move almost at a warp speed and get some of those things done so that we can shift our focuses in our life, in our business, in our healthcare, and everything, right? In just so many other things. So I think it really does open up so many opportunities, but it's okay. And again, I go back to it's normal to feel fear, right? As humans, we don't like change, right? Think about, I want anybody who's listening who's been a leader or a manager and has had to, get your team to go through change, right? There's a lot of resistance usually, right? That's normal. That's why they wrote the book Who Moved My Cheese, right? That's the whole thing is we are creatures of habit. We like to stay comfortable. But what I want to introduce you guys to is the mindset of kind of putting on that hat. And I had to do this years ago because I resisted change. I didn't want to learn anything new. I kind of wanted to stay in my safe space, right? Which many entrepreneurs, sometimes we get comfortable and we don't learn new things. What I want you guys to do is put on that hat of I'm open and willing to learn new things if it can help me help others better, right? If it can help me run my business better, if it can help me personally, professionally, right? I want you guys to be open to the idea of identifying, right? Maybe a few different resources where you can go to learn, right? Where it's not overwhelming, but you can start to dip your toes and kind of learn new and different things about AI and then stay consistent, right? Get your pulse on it. I don't want you guys to look at it like I'm too far behind already. I don't even know where to start. Well, guys, again, my advice to you is just pick a few people. Could be 3 people. In fact, I'll say this with most of anything. Could be content creation, could be digital marketing, could be entrepreneurship. Pick a few influencers or a few people who are already kind of paving that path and already sharing that knowledge and information and tap into them. right? For me, I love, in fact, Scott actually shared the podcast AI Explored. It's a little sidekick partner podcast to Social Media Examiner by Mike Stelzner. And I love it. Every episode, I mean, it is so juicy because he'll have an AI expert who jumps on. And sometimes, guys, it is repetitive, right? He keeps sharing the same similar things, which is good if you're just starting or want to just get the basics. Um, you listen to those episodes and they'll give you a little peek behind the scenes of how you can use AI in your business. Now, if you are so fresh out of the box and you're like, I don't even know where to start, right? There are a few tools that we kind of reel people back into and say, look, just start here. And one of them is ChatGPT. Okay. Chat GPT, I mean, I use it on a daily basis. I know, Scott, you probably use it pretty consistently as well. But
Every
Chat
day.
GPT is probably the one that if everyone was to ask me, well, what is the one AI tool, that I should learn or know? Chat GPT. Okay. And it's very simple as far as the basics of it. Okay. But it can get very wild and crazy and fun. But it's just a simple prompt where you are talking to it, right? You are jumping on there and you're maybe giving it, some guidance and some prompts. And you're treating it almost as if it was another person, right? They say treat it like it's an intern. Okay. And you're, giving it a role. In fact, I like to, there's many different tips on how to like prime your AI. So you can first give it a role. You can say, you are an expert copywriter who specializes in creating content for, and whatever you want to enter about your business. So giving it a role and then give it a step-by-step process of what you need it to do. Right. So again, if you're talking to an intern, hey, great at copywriting. I really want you to follow this step-by-step process, which is number one, I need some content ideas, right? For my business. Well, think about the things that your intern would need to know, right? They need to know about your business. So you would feed the AI some information, like tell a little bit about more about what you do. In fact, if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, which I believe is about $20 a month, you can even have it connect. It can read websites, you can drop in PDFs, files, all kinds of different things, and you can have it learn. A lot of people will say, oh man, the output's so garbage, it's not me, or, I don't think it's that great. Well, guess what, guys? You get out what you put in. So, someone who I highly recommend that you guys follow is Andy Crestadina. So, Andy Crestadina actually has a really great LinkedIn newsletter. And Andy, actually, I mean, we become friends at this point, right? We've interviewed him. We've jumped on a couple calls. He's just a really, really awesome, wonderful, giving human being, but he is an absolute expert in the space of best practices when it comes to content. Definitely has been dabbling more into AI, and he's got a lot of different newsletters that actually teach you how to build out personas, right? How to create different things on AI that is super helpful, for your business. So just kind of going back, right? So I want you guys to think about, right? Like when we deal with fear, when we deal with the unknown, even and I actually used to say this all the time with like my leadership roles, when something feels icky or uncomfortable, lean in. Okay. Lean in and learn a little bit about it, right? So that number one, you have more of an understanding, dip your toes in there. I didn't say this before, but you can even go on YouTube, guys, and search like, I don't know where to start with AI, or you could even type in, step by step how to get started on ChatGPT. You're going to find hundreds, maybe even thousands of videos that are going to introduce, right, the basic concepts and get you started. I think it's really interesting. And going back to the whole business perspective, I was listening to a podcast with Seth Godin recently, and Seth Godin shared the fact that we really need to get our heads up and look around and get out of our own way and stop staying stuck in how we've always done things. Okay. At the rapid rate in which we are developing and changing, we need to get on the path of remembering why we're here in the first place, right? We're in the business of helping people. And guess what? Sometimes that changes what things look like, right? As we evolve. Because if we don't evolve, guys, we will get left behind. And mark my words, right? I think Sam Altman, who is the he's the CEO of OpenAI, which is, ChatGPT. He said, look, marketers will be losing their jobs. Marketers will be replaced, but they will be replaced by marketers who know how to use AI. So if we're not dabbling, getting our hands in there, if we're not learning, right, some of those things with AI, we're going to get left behind. Okay. This reminds me, and it makes me think, and we like to be very transparent with you guys, kind of what we're building in our own business. Scott, it reminds me of kind of like our conversation yesterday, right? Like we have been wanting to build out a community so bad for so long. And I think what happened is we got so stuck on what we thought this thing had to be that we forgot to step back and look
At what people
at,
actually want.
at what people actually want. And so when we started peeling back the layers and when we started really revisiting what this looks like and also incorporating, right, some technology, because we're going to have a lot of, AI involved, right? A lot of basic, simple, fun ways to use AI to streamline. We realized that the community that we initially were trying to push and build and create was something completely different.
Yep.
And it's exciting, right? And that's something that we're going to be sharing more with you guys, this community that we are building. And it's all around content creation and especially on LinkedIn. It's going to be amazing. And the coolest thing is it's stuff that we're already doing, right? I am all over content creation. Scott lives, sleeps, eats, and breathes, LinkedIn. Right. So all these things are kind of coming together. And after we kind of came to this realization, we were stopped trying to put a square peg through a round hole. And we realized, oh my gosh, let's just create a service that people need. And they're asking for it basically and saying that it's a gap. And let's just focus there. Everything else in that conversation got so much easier. And we're so excited to share it with you guys. So, of course, I'm not going to, reveal too much more because we're still in the beginning
Well,
stages,
we're
but
still in the midst of getting all of the foundational things, but uh it's going to fill a void and a need that all coaches, consultants, and service professionals are really after right now. We are those individuals where we love having our hands on the pulse of business and social media and AI. And I think that's what really makes us different from a lot of business owners out Yeah, I there. mean, we're not going to reveal too much about the community and everything that's going to be coming down the pike. But again, it's something that we are really excited about because we love having our hands on the pulse of everything that's going on, including AI. And that's kind of like the big thing here is that, we want to be able to be a resource for those that want to learn new tips, tricks, and other ways to use certain business tools like AI. And it's going to be for some, it's not going to be for others, just like a lot of business models out there. But I know the more that that person that's listening to this spends time with some of the AI tools out there, and it doesn't have to be ChatGPT, it could be something else. It could be Claude, it could be Gemini, it could be whatever you want to be using. Just dig in. Everyone starts at zero. Uh, Nancy and I had no clue how to use it. And it just gets better. And it's funny, every time I do a training or I'm consulting with a company, um, people don't realize that, ChatGPT and AI, it learns from you. What you feed it, it will bring back to you. So just to give you an example, I was doing uh, a training for a company I'm consulting with, and they're a organic beverage company. And I asked ChatGPT, I said, do you know about XYZ company? And it said yes, because it basically will search on the internet and it will say, here's what I know about the company. And I said, I'm consulting with this company and I am working with people that are in sales, marketing, operations, and team leadership. Can you create some topics of conversation for posts that they can do on LinkedIn? And it said, sure. And it literally like broke out for the salespeople. They can talk about this. For the marketing people, they can do this. For the operations people, they can talk about this. So it just adds extra value, not only to the people that you're working with, but you're also showing them like, hey, you can do this yourself. Like it'll spit back out what you put into it. And I think that's the thing that people, they're worried about plagiarism, they're worried about copying and pasting. We're not telling you to copy and paste. We're telling you feed it your own information so it could then give back to you exactly what you're looking for to streamline processes. And I can't tell you how many hours of work and of just everything else it's saved. Not only, myself, Nancy, and our team, but the people that we're working with now, because you can streamline so many processes by using it. So I think the overarching message is just try it. It can't hurt. It can only help. And some people may find it, you know what? I don't like it. But there may be other people out there that are like, oh my God, this is amazing. I need to learn more about this. And here's the thing. You do not have to go out and buy a course to teach you how to use ChatGPT. There are free tutorials everywhere. Go to YouTube, like you could find it anywhere. And honestly, you could just try it on your own. I mean, there's a lot of prompts within ChatGPT where they kind of like feed you and help you utilize it better. So just be open. I think that's the big message.
Totally. So, what tools are your favorites? And this could be for like all levels, but what tools do you consistently use? I mean, obviously, there's going to be people who are listening to this episode, I'm sure, who are a little bit more advanced in AI, some beginners, but what do you typically use? And what are some of your favorites as far as the
Well,
tools?
ChatGPT.
Yep.
So that's my number one. I would say second to that for video production, editing, and content creation, Opus.Pro. It's just I saw an article the other day that there's this guy who is making about $3,000 a month, being a video content editor using Opus.
Wow.
So yeah, the client pays him $500 because they don't know. The
Yeah.
client they pay him $500 a month. He pays $39 a month for the pro version of Opus. And all he says to them is, hey, give me X amount of videos per month, and I will chop it up for you, and I will drop all your videos into a Google Drive with descriptions, tags, blah, 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 and you can post it. Or if you want, I can post it for you, because the pro version, you can post it onto multiple platforms. So and I feel like that's so genius because no one knows how things are being done behind the scenes. And now that there's way to leverage these AI tools like Opus, I I mean, again, it's been game changing. So that's kind of my second favorite. So for anyone that wants to create like mini viral video clips, which is a big push right now on LinkedIn, I would totally dig into that. There's a free version that, you know, it's not going to cost you a penny. Um, and it really does help. I would say the third and final one that I love that I used for a little bit, but it's more of a suggested AI tool. And this is for anyone that has a podcast, Podsqueeze .io is a wonderful tool because basically what you can do is you can connect your podcast RSS feed, which is the streaming feed of your podcast, whether it's through Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And with Podsqueeze, um, it actually will take the episode and will give you some output that you can use for other things. So it creates a blog post for you, it creates a newsletter, social posts, titles, timestamps. So it's like there's a lot of people that pay thousands of dollars for like podcast editors and all that stuff where you can utilize some of the AI tools out there that can be leveraged in a way where not only is it saving you money, but it's saving you a ton of time. So I would say those are my three favorite. One, obviously, ChatGPT for all the other output and input that you need, video component, Opus.Pro, and for those podcasters out there that are looking to repurpose some of their content into other pieces of content, Podsqueeze.io.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a few that I recommend, like, when people are like, well, where do I even get started? Or, what are the basics? I would say hands down, ChatGPT, perfect place to start, all day long. You could probably live there for a very long time and get yourself really far with a lot of things. Perplexity. So perplexity AI, that is really, really amazing as far as doing market research, pulling up, different sourced information. What it does, it actually, you can ask it questions like, what are top trends in social media right now? And what it'll do is it'll actually pull from the internet and it will source all the places where it's pulling from. So you can click on each individual articles. That is so, so impactful and helpful, especially for some market research and for staying up to date. And then, the last one that I usually focus on is Claude .ai. So Claude actually doesn't connect to the internet, but it has been trained and it's been created to give a lot more of a human type output. So, for example, we might train Chat GPT really, really well, but we can take that output from Chat and go into Claude. And I do have the paid version of Claude. I think it's about $20 a month. But in Claude, I can actually go through and work that content a lot better, and create more human type content where it's a little bit more of me. And I train it a little bit more in my style and, I give it examples. That's one thing that we forget that, yes, we can assign a role, we can say, you are this, but we can also give it examples, right? We can show it what we want. And there's this process I really like where you give it the role, you give it the step by step what you need, take this blog post and rewrite it as me, but make it a little more whatever, right? So give it specifics. And guys, the part that a lot of people are forgetting is that you can also give it feedback, right? You can actually say, well, you know what? I'm going to rewrite a couple things. Here's the rewritten version. I want you to learn from this, the changes that I made so that you can help me a little bit more in the future. So Claude actually has a longer learning ability where it retains memory longer than ChatGPT. And so that's just kind of a really cool tool that I've found is super helpful, especially for writing. So if you guys do a lot of content creation, a lot of writing, you want to sound more human-like, and you're just not hitting the mark with ChatGPT, Claude.ai is a great resource for that. So anyway, those are just a few that we wanted to share. Again, we, are talking all things AI. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to feel it, but we do have to dip our toes in and we got to kind of get up to speed with some of these things. If, number one, you want to stay relevant, okay, with your business, because it's really there isn't one business I can name that it's not impacting. Okay, I know this sounds silly, but if you're a zookeeper, it probably can impact your business. I mean, you could probably use it to put in data and create an entire routine that's more optimized than what you're currently doing, feeding the red panda babies. You can just do so much with it. Okay. So that's where we want to leave you guys is your little homework. Okay. Is if you have not dipped your toes into AI, just start somewhere, right? Start
Dip your
simple. Just pick
toes.
one little resource. It could be a certain podcast. We shared the one by Mike Stelzner, which is AI Explored. You can go on YouTube, right? Just pull up a video, how to get started on ChatGPT, step by step for beginners. Just start there. Okay. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you want to learn a little bit more about, workshops that we have, of course, we'll be doing a lot more in the upcoming year as well. You can go to thetimeToGrow.com. That's all things, that Scott and I do
Type in
together.
www dot
Oh yeah,
because sometimes sometimes if you
www.thetimeToGrow.com.
just type in the time to grow .com, it won't come up, but make sure you type in www.thetimeToGrow.com.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll update that. But anyway, so you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you next week. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.